Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me get this microphone closer to me. I should say almost good afternoon. It has been a crazy morning, so it has definitely run me a lot. Ran me a lot later than normal. Sorry about that, guys. Tuesdays is probably one of my busiest days in business and communication and but yeah, it's okay. We make it work. We'll make it work. We'll still see what the algorithms will do today, if it will actually share me out. I've tried to share me out the best I can. So if you're here, say hi. Let me know that you're here. If you're watching this later, you can put hashtag replay. Let me know that you were here. And give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on just exactly what we're talking about. You know, that's what this is about. It's about talking. Um, it's about recognizing things. It's about me sharing stuff with you that I have recognized about myself, and hoping that maybe it can help you. Maybe it can help you in business. Maybe it can help you in life. Maybe it can help you with your relationship with God. Hey, Tammy, and maybe it can even help you realize when you're just kind of doing what you want to do and not necessarily what God's leading you to do, because that, my friend, can be a slippery slope. And that is what we are definitely talking about today. Tammy, I hope you're doing well, my friend. When you're good, just good to see you on here. Oh boy. Had to turn that down, right? I do this so I can watch the comments. Lee is on here. Good morning, baby. He is upstairs working out and listening to me at the same time. And again, my husband is so knowledgeable with all things, a little bit of all things, which I love. Um, Mainly, his skill is keeping me in line. That would be it. I may lead around the blind guy where he needs to go, but he definitely keeps me in line. Um, and I am not too proud to say that, because I am a hot mess sometimes the way I like to squirrel. Um, I am doing well, and thank you so much. I feel so good. You know, I can't help talking about it, but Tammy, let me just say briefly. I always talk about business just a little bit in the beginning. Um, what I love is the supplements that I'm taking, which has been a gradual add to for the last year, almost a year. It'll be a year in March. Has me feeling better now than when a lot of you met me years ago, you know, in my 40s. I think people get used to just feeling however they feel. They're like so grateful that they don't have cancer, or they're so grateful they don't have diabetes, or they're so grateful that they don't have this, that they say any other rotten way that I feel. Um, you know what? I'm just going to be grateful to feel that way. But in reality, you don't have to stay feeling like you don't have energy. And if you have any of those problems, the best thing you can do is supplement your body the right way to keep your gut in tune with your gut controls everything, you know, how we think, how we function. That's something I didn't know a year ago. But that and again, the right kind of supplements, because talk about something else I didn't know, that there were all different kinds as far as pill form, and are they filled with fillers and binders and things like that, that where you're not even getting probably a quarter of what is in the pill. It's just that you never get it in your body because of all the stomach acids and everything. So I feel better using some new skincare products, using some new makeup, which I have to just give Phyllis and Brandy a shout out. I know she's not on here, but I have to give it to her because she is doing this thing with our company, with Market America. Our Motives line is our beauty line, and we have what's called Custom Blend Foundation, which means the foundation. Phyllis made my foundation for me. I am the girl that, for as many years as I can remember, my foundation has been a mixture of a couple of different in order to get the right color. I mean, lots of you, I'm sure, are going to watch this and you're going to feel me. I get it. You're going to feel me on the whole um, on the whole thing as far as like, yeah, I have to do that. And she was able to take a questionnaire, send it to me. What did I want? Um, Matter of fact, most of the time she does this in person, but for me, she did it through pictures of me online, and made me a foundation that just is my skin. It's just my skin. I don't have to mix it with anything else. So these things that my company has in place that I never knew existed. It's crazy. The coverage is great. It stays on all day. It doesn't feel thick. You can choose whether you want a primer in it, whether you want an SPF in it. You can choose all those things. And she is just getting so good at it. So I can't wait because my skin color will probably change in the summer because I'll be out in the sun more, right? So she gonna have to come back and give me my summer color. So I am excited about that. So I am directing people. I have a few people on my team who are actually being trained for that now. And they are so excited that, they can actually give somebody something. It's not, oh, well, here's the closest color we have for you. No, 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 no. They do that. Questions are about the undertones. Do you have red in your skin? Do you have yellow in your skin? What is it that you have? And then she just gives me something that I absolutely love, so I don't have to fight with that. So that was a good thing. A lot of what we're doing now. So the custom blend is amazing. The supplements for me, when I don't have a lot of energy or I'm going on a long trip, we have this product called Awake. A lot of people take those energy drinks that are like going to give you heart palpitations and make you feel like your heart's beating out of your chest. And we have an energy drink that's called Awake. And I take it when I'm going up to see my kids. Speaking of my kids, my daughter's on here right now, Jessica. Hi, baby, I love you. And when I go up there, I take one of these probably about an hour into the trip, and it's about a 5 hour trip for me. And I take one coming home, and I just feel alive. I don't feel sluggish. I don't get that tired, that long road going home. And it doesn't make me feel like it's doing weird things to my heart, my blood pressure, those things. So absolutely love it. Good morning, Nita. Good to see you. Charlene, hi friend. Good to see you. So that's it for the pitch for business today. As far as why do I feel good, or maybe you think that I look good, and I do. I feel good. I do. I feel good. Even on my bad days, I feel better than I used to. Hey, Britta, good to see you, baby. Thanks for being on here. Thanks for saying hi. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about slippery slopes. We really are. I've been reading a lot lately. I am such a, I always tell my people who know me, my tribe, I always tell people I'm a social media hoe. There's just no other way to put it. I love social media. I love sharing with social media. I love connecting with people on social media. I love sharing my life lessons. I love sharing the products that I'm using. I love sharing other people's stuff on social media. I love like props to my company. It is my wheelhouse. But see, people have always been my wheelhouse, right? I just love people and I love helping people. It's just who I am, which is why this industry, right, of networking with people and loving on people and not wanting to see them struggle, it is like just such my wheelhouse. I don't like to see people suffer if they don't have to. And what I've seen a lot of lately, to be quite honest, and by the way, I only talk about this and most things because I've been there. Have you ever been in a place, or maybe you're there right now, where you just feel like, you know what? I don't understand why this is happening to me. We lose people. We lose people, car accidents. We lose people to sickness. Sometimes it feels like, my mom used to have that saying, it comes in threes. If somebody dies, watch out, there's going to be two more. And I used to feel like, nothing like wishing it, mom. Like, why are you even saying that? And sometimes it did seem like that happened within a couple of months. And other times, I don't know, I probably wasn't paying attention and it didn't. But I can remember some people would say, like when my mom got cancer, they would say, I don't understand it. Pat George is the kindest soul. I don't understand it. She has helped so many people. I don't understand this. I don't understand that. Why her? Why her? Why her? Look, I need to tell you something because people will always say, well, I don't understand why God did that. Well, number one, God didn't do it. God didn't do it. God is not looking at you saying, what is the next bad thing that I can do to this person? Okay, that's not what he's doing. Um, but I need you to know, and when you come back and you say too, I don't understand why this happened to, we'll hear about somebody being, raped or killed. We will hear about somebody being beat up or being abused by somebody that they're with. We will hear all of these things, right? But I need to tell you something. When people say things like, well, I don't understand, there are all these bad people in the world. How come bad things are not happening to these people who are out there committing murder, people who are out there robbing people who are out there committing crimes? Don't y'all get it? The devil's already got them. Satan's already got the bad, right? He doesn't have to work on the people who have already turned away from God. He doesn't have to work on them. See, they're already on their way to where he is, okay? If they don't change their lives, if they don't accept Christ, see, you don't get it. Like that's what's going to happen. So I need to tell you, if you feel like you are being tested, if you feel like, why does this happen to me, let me tell you something. The devil wants you. If you believe in God this much, if you're on the fence of believing in God, if you're like, well, I know there's a supreme being, but I don't believe in your God, whatever it is, the point is, he wants you to think that God is doing this to people. He wants to change what you are thinking. He wants to turn you from your faith. That is the truth. The truth is, of course, he's going to work on you. Of course, he's going to have you say, well, I don't understand why that child got cancer. We all hate that for anybody. I can remember when Mona's granddaughter, who is, last I checked, is completely cancer free, and I'm so happy. But I remember, I see it in my memories, when Mona's granddaughter was diagnosed with cancer and she had to go get treatments. And I watched and I followed and I shared and I prayed and I thought, oh my goodness, why this little girl? I don't understand, God. Why are you doing this? And I thought, look, I don't know why she got the cancer, but this is what I do know. I watched that family stay strong in their faith. And when she would have a little setback and she would be a little bit sicker or whatever that looked like, I could see the devil doing something else, and they kept saying, I know God has got this. No matter the outcome, I serve a risen God. I serve a risen Savior. I know, and you know what? It's hard to think that. I remember when my son was out on a job and he was working for Lee's company, before, of course, Lee was diagnosed with his blindness. And I remember when I got the call from Lee that my son was just on a job and he was working with a high pressure tool, and somehow or other something just went wrong. Something went wrong, and he had his safety glasses on, but something went wrong, and this tool bounced back, jumped back out of his hands, and when it did, it hit him with such a velocity of speed that it hit him in the eye, and when it did, it crushed all the bones around his eye. His retina, all of those things were destroyed. I didn't even recognize that side of his face. And I can remember, like, at this time, I was still going through a lot in my life. And yes, I was better, but this happened. And I remember getting to the hospital, Lee saying, you need to come up here because there are decisions that have to be made. They don't know if he's going to lose his eye. They don't know this. Hi, Ty. How are you? Good to see you, friend. I can remember thinking, trying to be brave, and Earl going in that room, and they had Earl on morphine and this and that and all of this stuff. And he took the thing they had on his eye, and they took it off, and when they did, it was still gushing with blood, was going all over the floor, and me thinking, my handsome son, my healthy son before this, my gosh, how did this happen? How did this happen? And I'm thinking, he's out there showing up for work every single day, has his safety goggles on, doing this, doing that, and God, you couldn't have had it been 3 inches? Yeah, you couldn't have been like, could it have just like jumped somewhere else and hit a car or something? I mean, I found myself saying, why? Why? He's a good kid. Why? And what I know now is eventually Earl left that line of work. And by the way, Earl is good. He's just as handsome as he's ever been. He has the most unusual eyes. When you look at him, it reminds me of people looking at dog's eyes or whatever, where one color is different than the other. And Earl had to choose before they did the surgery. First of all, they put the metal plates and stuff underneath to rebuild everything in his eye. There was just so much that had to be done, but he had to decide when they were replacing the lens in his eye, which was completely crushed, whether he wanted to be nearsighted or farsighted. He had to choose. What are you going to be? Could be a little of both, could be whatever. And I remember thinking, shouldn't be this way. Shouldn't be this way. But he has quite a conversation piece now. And you know what? He recovered from that. Amazingly. Jess says he sure is. Yes, he is. She will tell you, yes. So he is handsome and he has quite the story to tell. And yeah, and that affected Lee horribly. He kept saying, what did I do wrong on the site? What did I not show somebody they needed to do? And it was totally a freak accident. It was totally something that just happened, right? But when something bad happens, and at that point, you don't know how it's going to all end up. That you're going, oh my gosh, like, how did this happen? I remember when my niece Karen was in a horrific car accident because a drunk driver hit her when she was on her way to work. And she was so young. She was what, 16, 17 years old? And when you look, Karen, it just messed her up completely. She was in the hospital in ICU. They didn't know if she was going to live. And I thought to myself, come on, God, what is going on here? As the family gathers and as everybody is wondering what's going to happen. But guess what? Karen did make it through that. Now, the struggle was real. The struggle was real for sure for her. There was a lot of dental work. There was a lot of healing. There was a lot of patching. There was a lot of this. But Karen still had her life. I get that. But at the point that things happen, I have to believe that the devil really wanted to use that. But it was up to many of us in the family to decide that we had to believe that God knew what was going on. I don't understand why the earthquakes, why this. Well, honestly, the way that we don't take care of things around here, or maybe the way we don't take care of ourselves, or maybe, again, a drunk driver hit Karen. A drunk driver. Karen was doing everything right, and a drunk driver showed up. My son was doing it right? He was doing his job right. And something freaky happened, but in those moments in time, when I got my cancer a few years ago, you want to talk about beating up. I had the ability and I was on the edge to, God, seriously, this now? I don't have insurance. How am I going to pay for this? They say they're not saying it is cancer. They're saying it's presenting as cancer. I had to wait because of COVID 6 months for the surgery. So I had to live with this mass anyway. And I'm completely a mess. Many of you know, you followed me during that time. I was like, are you kidding me? And I would do this over and over again on a roller coaster. There were times I would say, I know God's got me. I know He does. And times I would have to pray, please let me feel that you have me. I have 4 more months to wait for this. I need to know this is going to be okay. And the doctor had said, unless there's something we're not seeing, we believe you're going to be fine. We've just got to get it out. And we're going to take a portion of your kidney when we do that. But if things go well, it's going to rejuvenate and you're going to be fine. Your kidney does that. Your liver does that. But I am the person who consistently says, what if? What if it doesn't? See, that's who I was. And even now, I can be that person. What I realized is I needed 6 months. I needed 6 months to pull my crap together. I needed 6 months to say to myself and to endlessly understand that rather I had a cancer that I was going to need treatment, that if I had cancer that could take my life, I had to start looking at the things that I was grateful for. That's hard. In the midst of struggle, in the midst of turmoil, you know, when a relationship goes bad, sour, maybe somebody on the other end of that relationship just, I don't know, they're going off the deep end. Who knows? What I find that I do then is I have to suddenly be grateful for the relationships that I do have. Suddenly, God shows me who does show up. And I don't mean show up like you got to be there all the time. I mean, sometimes in life, there is a slippery slope to what family is supposed to be. Everybody has a different definition, right? What friendship is supposed to be. For me, what leadership is supposed to be. There are many people who will watch this, and even now, whether you're on my Market America team or you follow me, or rather you were on my Avon team or you just followed me, and you considered me a mentor, and some of you still do, and that's great if you do. Some of you have leaders who wished you never did. That's okay too. That's all part of it. The hardest part for me was when I had to look at the questions I was asking people to say, where is your accountability in all this? Like, what are you doing? And somebody in business, they'd say, well, business isn't going well, or it's not moving as quickly as I want it. And I would say, okay, let's talk about what you're doing. And they would give me one thing that they had done, but it hasn't worked yet. One thing. And I would go, but what else? What else are you doing? And how long have you tried this one thing? And have you tried it differently? You know, have you tweaked it? You know, and when it would be like, well, no, but I saw this and I thought, and I said, but life doesn't just work one way. Business doesn't just work one way. If everybody's life was the same, we'd all be talking about the same thing. If everybody struggled with issues with their parents, we'd all be experts, right? If everybody had issues with their kids, if everybody had issues with the relationship with God, we would all probably know the answers, right? But there is a slippery slope. And the slippery slope is, I believe, on a lot of this, is do you have people who will hold you accountable in your life and bring you back to home base? I don't mean tell you what you want to hear. It is really, really hard for me when my sons come to me, people who are very close, and I have to say, let's look at what you did in all this, right? Let's look at where you're at in all this. What part did you play in this? And I will say, what could you have done differently? What could have been done differently that it wasn't this outcome? Or what could you do differently in the future to make sure this doesn't happen again? And if there is something, to get them to say, I am not saying this is okay what these people did or what this person on your team did or what this person in your family did, whatever that looks like. The point is, but you've got to recognize in everything what you could do better. When I feel my relationship with God slipping, and yes, there are times I do. Um, I remember when business was not going, well, with Avon for me, and things just felt like they were falling apart, and I would be like, you know, I don't get this, God, because how could you in a million years let me spend this amount of years building something and building a relationship with all these people, and then suddenly through no fault of my own it just starts crumbling for one thing or another. It's not even important what that was. And I remember me saying, is there a bigger plan for me, or am I done? I was on this slippery slope, number one, of feeling sorry for myself. Let me call it out. I was. You know, you can be on a slippery slope. Look, for anybody who starts anything new, I don't care if you're learning something new, if you're going to college, if you start a new business, no matter what it is, you're on this slope of saying, I don't feel like it's enough. I don't feel like I'm learning fast enough. I don't feel like I'm acquired. Guys, everything takes practice. Even your relationship with God. But do you know what happens? Everybody quits working on their relationship with God. You know why? Because every time they hit their knees because they need Him for something, He seems to always be there. He is the person that when we need Him, we run to Him. But what do we do in between? I talk about the fact that I try to get training in whenever I can for my new company as far as understanding things, and quite a few times a week and sometimes a few times a day. I am there either trying to understand or I am there trying to help other people understand. I am there presenting an opportunity. I am there talking about what it's done for my health. And then I will feel like something's not moving as fast as it was. And God reminds me that everything takes time. And everybody is on a different speed limit. And a lot of people are in a faster car. And some people have a lot of luggage with them. Nobody's journey is the same. But if you're on a slope that always says God's looking down on you, if you're always on a slope that says business will always be bad, I will never do as good as this person, watch what you speak into existence. Because I am here to tell you, when you speak it into existence, that is what sets in your brain. Quit comparing yourself to what somebody else's relationship is with God, and work on your own relationship. Quit looking at how somebody else is doing in business, and realize that if you concentrate more on what somebody else is doing and comparing your journey, it's going to hinder you. It's going to put you in the quicksand of comparison, and that's not good. There are many people that when I hear them talk about their relationship with God, sometimes I go, God, man, I really want that closeness. And then I realize in order for me to be that close to God, I have to keep working on that relationship. No different. If you want your business to be successful, you have to work on your business. You have to work. If you want a relationship better with your sons or your daughters or your husband, my goodness, you have to work on it. I am guilty of that. Do you know how easy it is for me to put my husband on the back burner because he's always there, kind of like God? Not comparing the two. Lee, if you're still listening to this, he is. Do not, do not think I'm putting you on the God frame there, but kind of like God because in reality, he's always been there, even when I haven't liked the outcome. Sometimes it very much, I will do that. You've got to quit saying, why is this? Number one, if you're comparing it from Facebook, just stop it because social media in itself, just know. You will find a few people who'll be as honest as a day is long. Let me tell you something. They will. Probably me. Probably me. Look, one minute you're hearing me talk about how great Lee is, but the next minute, if you're really following me, you're going to find out that Lee does something all the time to irk me. That's what happens. And you know what? I do the same to him. I know it. I know it. I don't always like where God takes something, but this is what I'm going to tell you. In the end, it's about the journey. Quit wishing that you wish that you were in the shoes of somebody else and what they have or what they don't have, because I got news for you. In order to have that journey or to be where that person is in their life, that means that you would have had to walk through everything they've walked through in their life. When people go, oh, I just wish that I was Molly. I wish that, I had this, or I wish that, maybe I had the following she had. I wish this. I would listen to me. Half the reason some of the people have followed me is because of what I have shared, because of what I've been through. It's hard still talking about the fact that my mom died when I was 16. It's hard to talk about the fact of what has blown up and scarred my family. It's hard to talk about the fact that I was divorced after 17 years. But see, in order to have that following of people who identify with me, you know what happens? I tell my story, and that's what happens. So what happened is, whether it was my fault or not, that slippery slope of me hating the stuff that I've gone through in my life and I'm trying to hold on for dear life, God says, just give me a minute and take my hand because I'm going to show you how I can use it. And Molly, people are going to hate you for how you're using your grief and how you're using your hard times and your loss. They're going to hate what that brings to you. They're going to hate the way, Molly, that I've worked in your heart and I've allowed you to love people no matter how many times they've betrayed you, no matter how many times they've talked about you behind your back, and some of them you may not even know of, Molly, but that you still try to love them like Christ loved the church. And that's one of the hardest things for me. It's because I take betrayal personally. Honestly, I would rather somebody just say they're not for me at all and just know where they stand than to have them be wishy-washy or liars. I wonder how God feels so many of us are wishy-washy. I can remember at events years back, with Avon and getting together with everybody and having a really, really good time. And I can remember being uncomfortable about some things. And I remember thinking I should have been brave enough to say something. And I wasn't. Wasn't there yet. That kind of stuff is hard. The slippery slopes, in Acts 26:18 it says to open their eyes and turn them from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God. And if you've got some people that you can trust while you're on that slippery slope, who you can be honest with and say, this is how I'm feeling, not because they're going to come in and judge you, but because they're going to come in and they're going to raise you up. Because they're going to come in and they're going to go, stop it. Let's look at what has happened. Let's look at the good. Let's look at what God has provided. Let's look at the fact that, you know what, Molly, you don't have your mom anymore. But man, you can help people who aren't appreciating their parents now. Maybe it's hard taking care of them, but you can help them remember that, man, they've had their parents for all these years. If you have a dad who's loved you, treated you like you were the cat's meow, I don't know. A lot of people I think the devil puts those people in front of me. I watch these even adult women who are loving on their daddies, and their daddy just thinks that they are the living end. And I can remember first being very jealous of that, and I can remember how it pained me that my friends had that after my mom died. But when I lost my mom, I lost my dad too. Oh, he was still kind of in my life, but he wasn't the dad. He wasn't the dad that I had always wanted. And because of that, I picked somebody just like him to marry the first time. Boy, what a mistake that was, but I gave it my best shot for 17 years, right? I just think that in the midst of bad decisions, in the midst of being on the slippery slopes of life, I need you to know that God can catch you. And he can work with anything and bring something good out of it. I watch people say, I always fall for the wrong guy. I always attract the wrong guy. I always go for the wrong guy. And you know what happens? You'll say, oh, I prayed that God would bring me the right guy. I prayed that he wouldn't. Somebody walks into your life and somebody sweet talks you. And matter of fact, they may even appear a little bit like the guys you've been attracted to. And you're like, oh my gosh, here's God giving me the right guy in my life. Here he is right now. Here he comes. And no, he's not. He's very much like the other guys. And you want to be like, God, what are you doing? No. See, God was trying to help you get yourself right, but you decided that the next person that you found attractive, that was comfortable for you, that person who came in, you're like, oh yeah, I got him, I can spar with him. He's kind of a bad boy, but it's okay because he really cares about me, and there's a pattern here, and you just keep repeating the pattern because what God wants you first to see is that you have value before a guy is in your life, that you have value to be treated better. And until you get well enough in your thinking that you believe that you do deserve more than what you've always been attracted to, that will never happen. That will never happen. You will still keep making the same bad decisions. And I'm not cutting on the good-looking guys or the bad boys, because let me tell you something. I'm sure there are some who are just great but have that bad boy mentality. You know what I'm saying? I'm not cutting on it. But I think it's, I think there are a lot. I've watched people have had 2, 3, 4 relationships, and oh my gosh, this isn't working. He isn't any different than the other ones, because you keep being attracted to what you've always known, instead of working on fixing you and knowing that God has better for you. But you've got to get there first. You've got to get there. If you feel like you have friendships in your life that you feel like, no, it's only when you can do something for them, or they're not there for you, or you take the rhetoric that they put you down all the time. But they were just kidding, that kind of stuff. No, that's not cool. That's not cool. That is not good. It sounds like to me you need new friends, but do you know why you go or stay with the same friends that you had, or you get someone who's just like what you've always known? Because somewhere in you don't think that you're worthy of more, of better. That's the truth. I know. Because it was my truth for a very long time. A very long time. It doesn't have to be what it is. You're on a slippery slope, and God just wants you to see your value. And you take his hand for a minute, because boy, that ride down that slope is not nice. But then you let go because something shiny over there looks really good. Let's go check out that and see what that is. It's not always that bright and shiny thing. that is in your best interest. God wants to show you what you have to offer. And by the way, hey Dee, good to see you. Oh, hey Steph, I see Steph's here. God wants you to realize that you have value. By the way, not value as and you're in business. I see a lot of you because so many of you, you're in my group Onward the Next Chapter, and people are talking about how they'll never be as good as this people or the content creators or whatever. Listen to me. If you are not meant to be a content creator, it's okay. If you're like, but it's really not my thing, the social media, I just do it to keep up with people, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't be successful in your own right. Do you know what the problem is? The problem is you haven't invested in what God's given you. The problem is you can be your own success story, but if you're going to compare it to somebody who is doing social media a lot, you're saying you want what I have or what somebody else has, but in reality is, do you have any clue what that takes, what you have to do? Do you have any clue to say, you know what, you got to be open, you got to do this, you got to talk about things, you got to do that? Maybe that's not the calling. It doesn't mean you can't do anything, but stop saying that you want to be this person, because what it took for that person to get where they're at, really? I want to say this, and then I'm going to close. I have been blessed to be part of Lauren Reitinger's, who is the founder and CEO of Market America, who I'm with right now, my company. She has written a book. Now, you've probably heard me say this before, and you've probably read many things I've been putting, because we've been helping her launch this on the social media side for a while now. But Lauren lost her husband, JR, who I never got a chance to meet, but I have watched so much and listened to so many people talk about him. I feel like I do know him. But she lost her business partner, the love of her life, the father of her children, the grandfather of her grandchildren, the co-CEO of a billion-dollar industry. Just out of the blue, on vacation, just dropped dead. Healthy. And Lauren finally, through her still recovering from this and trying to walk back into life again, was brave enough to write her story. Her story of when things happen, the greatest heartbreak of her life, losing the man that she loves after all those years and thinking she was going to have double that with him. She wrote a book. The book is not just about when you lose loved ones. The book is about loss, period, and how to recover. And I don't just always mean human loss. I have not been able to read the whole book yet, but I have been graced to read and to hear a few chapters. And the last thing that she shared, I got to thinking, I felt that way when I felt like I was losing something that I had built. I felt like I was in mourning a year ago, probably more than that, 2 years ago. And yet I felt a similar loss when I lost my mom. I felt another type of loss when I lost my dad, because I was mourning something that I never had with him, even on his deathbed. I have mourned relationships that are not the same, and they probably never will be. This book is about loss and coming back, and how she has done it. The book is called Scrambled or Sunny Side Up. And the story behind that is phenomenal, and I'm not going to tell you because you need to read it. That book hit the market today. Today is its release day. If you are struggling down a slippery slope of something that you're losing, you feel like you're losing your relationship with your husband, you feel like you're losing a relationship with your son, maybe you've lost a child, maybe you've lost a person, maybe it's been years that you lost them and you're still trying to figure out, how do I get back up on the highway of life again? Maybe a business collapsed on you during COVID. Maybe you have been taking the power that failure can make you feel like, and you've lost it, and you're still beating yourself up over what hasn't worked in life. This book is for you. I need you to know this book is for you. You will never regret it. I am have quite a few copies coming in. I am going to be gifting a couple of these books just randomly to people. I just believe that this is going to be an easy read, but it's going to be a life-changing read. I can't wait. I'm sure that I will sit up all night reading this book because what I have heard just left me wanting more. So you can find this anywhere, Scrambled or Sunny Side Up. You can find that at Amazon. You can find that at Books A Million. You can find it at Barnes and Noble. You can find it. You can actually go to www.scrambledorsunnyside.up.com and you can purchase it there. But if you're a reader, or even if you're not, I believe that there is a reason that Lauren was moved to tell this story. And I believe that this could be a stepping stone towards your path of regaining you, because you're going to be able to hear how Lauren gradually had to regain herself and be there first for herself to figure out what she was going to do with this whole mourning process, which I don't think you ever quit mourning the people that you lost. But I do believe that you can learn and you can grow through it if you allow yourself to. So I hope that if you're watching this on replay or you're here live with me, I hope you will consider that book, Scrambled or Sunny Side Up. I believe even for those who feel like, you know what, I'm getting through. I'm okay. I am. I realized there were so many things when Lauren was sharing a couple of those chapters with us that I just didn't let myself think of anymore. And that I needed to, so that I could be better than even where I am now. I will forever be indebted to Market America and Lauren, and even when her and JR created together, even though I didn't know JR. I will forever be indebted to Mark Ashley and the team. I will forever be indebted to Steve Bosson for being part of God's plan that said, "Oh wow, look who came here." Yeah, that could be a good place for me. God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes they're not so mysterious. It just takes you a minute to see it. So, if nothing else, if you'd like to read her story, I mean, shoot, if you're a reader, why wouldn't you? If you love self-help books, why wouldn't you? If you love to hear about people's journeys, why wouldn't you? I don't get on here and talk about a lot of books, but this one I think has the ability to help people change their own life. I didn't say it's going to change your life, but what I hope is it changes your perspective on the fact that you can suffer the greatest losses in life, no matter what that looks like for you. And it could be anything. By the way, not making light, but losing a pet, that's hard. If you are still suffering the loss of a fur baby, and it's still your. Let me tell you something. It's still there. So I hope this has helped. Everybody has slippery slopes. But my wish for you is that you realize God is there. Hope you'll take a moment for you and figure out just what He has for you and get your eyes off of what you want and let Him show you what He wants for you. Y'all have a great day.